students, I'm so glad you're here with me today on a new learning adventure. So today, oh my gosh, are you ready? Let's do a big countdown. 3, 2, 1, tiles! Yes! We are finally going to do our legacy tile that is going to go up on the halls of our school for many years to come. So in the future, you can come back and visit yours and remember what a great time and experience you had here at H&IS in 5th grade and maybe even 3rd and 4th grade. So today, during the presentation, I'm going to be talking to you about careers in art, and we're going to talk a little bit about copyright law because I know you know one half of it, but now you're going to get the other half. And then I'm going to have a demonstration that is going to show you how to do your artwork. So let's go ahead and get into that presentation. I can't wait to see what you create. All right, today you will be starting to plan out your legacy tile in my classroom. And so we will learn what an avatar is. We'll also learn about art careers in the entertainment industry and how to create a plan for your legacy tile using an avatar to represent you. So I want to start off talking about what avatars are by talking about the movie Avatar. And if you think you're going to be making a tile of yourself as a blue alien, no, you won't be doing that today. But I do want to talk to you because it really introduces what avatars are, and so many kids have already seen the movie, so it kind of gives you a common ground to work from. So in the movie Avatar, humans are at war with an alien species, and we want to spy on them to learn secrets that will help us in battle. So we have created these chambers that we can place soldiers into, and it transfers the soldier's consciousness into what I assume was a robot that happens to look like one of these aliens. And so when the soldier thinks about talking or does talk, then the alien body, the robot body of the alien, will talk as well. If the soldier raises a right arm, then the robot body raises a right arm. And so this way, they're able to pretend to be one of the aliens and really infiltrate their culture and society. So what's kind of neat is that really avatars are going to be something that represents you, but it doesn't look exactly like you. So the actress who happens to play the girl in the movie here was hooked up to cameras, and there were nodes put on all her joints. So when she moved, then the computer-generated image would move as well. So the CGI avatar alien would move. And so they were able to do the actors' expressions and emotions and get that into the character that was in the movie. And really, again, this alien that's on the computer screen was being an avatar for the actress. And by the way, you might remember this actress. She's been in many movies, including the new Star Trek movies, and of course, Guardians of the Galaxy, aka also the Avengers movie. I don't know if she's going to be in the new one or not, but I would certainly be looking to see who's going to be in that one, because I'm sure there are a lot of actors and actresses vying for those parts. All right, so talking about movies, this allows me to teach one of my standards to you in that it will show you that there are careers in the movie industry for artists. Looky here in this first picture, you can see somebody working on a computer screen for the Smurfs movie. So they can draw right into that technology that can help them reproduce those movements that they need for the film. Wallace and Gromit creator here, and they have stop motion animation where they move the characters a little bit, take a photo, move the characters a little bit, take a photo, and when you put a whole bunch of photos together, you get movement. And then, hey, there's movie makeup. These are actually Academy Award categories too.
So if you've ever seen the TV show Face Off, they do lots of movie monster makeup in that. And that as well is a great career for artists. And then, hey, set designs. So something like the Box Trolls movie, they had to employ people to create the town that the movie was shot in. And I'm just going to just give you a little heads up here. The whole concept of the blue alien avatar has infiltrated our culture in society. And you can see that this one artist created a most beautiful avatar alien from one of the most beautiful paintings in the world of the Mona Lisa. Hey, celebrities aren't immune either. If you don't have Justin Bieber fever, maybe you'll have the Justin Bieber alien avatar fever. Now, when I first learned about avatars many years ago, they were all about chat rooms. So what was a chat room back in the day? Today we have social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where you will write something and push enter or return and pop, it's instantaneously out in the world and anyone can see it. Well, a long time ago, we had something called AOL dial-up, and it took forever to post something, especially something as complex as a picture. Nowadays, we have profile pictures that, boom, instantly get put with your words. But back then, if you wanted to have a picture and you wanted to post something that wouldn't take 5 hours to post, then you would choose one of these simplified images, very simple pixels that could represent you, but again, it doesn't look just like you. And every time you posted something, bing, it would post with it. And just to let you know, it would usually take me about 30 minutes for something that I've posted to actually go out into the world. So I would press enter, and then I would wait 30 minutes for it to finally post in the chat room. Now, I want to talk to you about the most common avatar used in the world. You might know this guy here, Great Elf. Hey, it's not Legend of Zelda. Zelda's the princess in the picture. It's actually Link. Yeah, that's his name. For our project, we are going to be taking ideas that you feel represent you. Let's say if you just love to sing, you might do a microphone. And hey, why not personify it? So personification means representing a non-human thing as if it were human. So here this microphone has eyes and a mouth and eyebrows. Maybe you'd have musical notes around it on your tile. Maybe there'd be a big red curtain on the sides. But we want to just make it not just an object. We really want to put a lot of personality in it. And hey, if you want to pick an animal that you feel represents you, like maybe you like to jump off the furniture and eat bananas, you might choose something like this monkey. Or hey, favorite sport, you could do that too. Favorite food, my goodness, I had one boy one year. He did cheese this, cheese that, cheese everything. So for his tile, of course, he did a personified cheese slice. And then I want to talk to you about copyright rules. So, hey, you know, animals, great. You can do imaginary animals. You can do dragons. You can do unicorns. But you can't do animal because that's already owned by the Henson Company. And so you will not be able to break copyright for this law because there are two parts of the copyright law that you need to know about. The first one you probably already know about. You cannot steal anyone else's artwork and put it on your artwork and then turn around and have it sold to you. So for our fundraisers that we do, we can't do that because the company doesn't want to have to try to track down 20 million companies to get their permission. Or they'll be forced to pay a royalty and maybe a fee because they broke copyright law. The second part of copyright law is you cannot put anything on public permanent display that breaks that has taken someone else's artwork and claimed it as your own. So when I tell you in a project, hey, you know, you can use SpongeBob in it, that's because that picture is only temporarily going somewhere. But because these tiles are going to be on the walls of our school for many years to come, then we will need to follow copyright law for this, and you cannot take someone else's artwork and put it on your own. You can say you love football, And you can make that football blue and orange, but you can't say that you love Auburn or another team that may use those particular colors, whether it's collegial or whether it's professional. So for today, for your assignment, you are going to start to draw out your tile with an avatar, and we're also going to be putting a name and a year. And I will paint your name for you on another day, because I know it's difficult for kids to get those lines really tiny with the glazes. And of course, we're going to paint our tiles safely and precisely using glazes. So we will be self-evaluating and revising as needed. So I want to go ahead and talk to you about the drawing portion today. All right, things that you'll need for this lesson include a tile, a pencil, and that might be it for day 1. But for days 2, 3, and 4, you're probably going to need some glazes, a brush, some water, and also a paper towel. And you'll also have a Sharpie available if you would like to use it. We also have some of these different resources for you to refer back to. I've used these for a while though, so you should probably change up the color or maybe some of the details, or else it might look like someone else's that's already up. And of course you can use your imagination. That's best yet. All right, so here is our tile, and I have a pencil here, and the first thing I want to do is think about where I'm going to put my name and year. And you need at least the year 2021, because that's the year you're graduating. I could do 2, 0, 2, 1 in the corners, or I could write it at the bottom or top or going down the side. It really just depends where you want to do it. And you're going to need to have a name. It can be your first name or your last name, or it could be your first and last name. That's up for you to decide too. Now I will paint it for you, your name only. I won't do the year. Because I know it's very difficult for some kids to have the fine motor control to paint with glazes, which are not like ordinary paints. Glazes are special paints just for ceramics, and they're rather thick and chunky sometimes, so it is a little challenging to get thin lines with it. But I will do that on another day, but you do need to write it out yourself. You have to hand write out yours, and then I will paint over your lines for you so that it's still yours. It's just I helped you out with a little bit on the lettering. All right, so when you get started, depending upon what you're trying to draw, I can use a pencil for this, but when I do it with pencil, it is very light, and really that's really good, because sometimes using something like a Sharpie, which is something I would rather not use, but if I absolutely needed to, I could. And that makes a great line. Sometimes the problem is going back and taking that off. So sometimes you can just use, if you made a mistake, you can use an eraser and erase it. Of course, you can do that with pencil as well too. Or if it's really not coming off very well, you can get a paper towel that has a little hand sanitizer on it, and that will wipe it off as well. You want to make sure it's nice and dry though if you are going to use a Sharpie before you go back in it. And then some of these Sharpies have a very felt-like tip to them, and if you press hard with them, the felt tip breaks, and then we won't have Sharpies to use, and then we'll have to just use pencils. So we want to make sure we just very lightly sketch. They work really good. If one isn't working on you, if you are using a Sharpie, hey, just go to a scrap piece of paper that you might have, or you can bring it to the teacher. And if I just use it a little bit on the paper, a lot of times that gets those Sharpies working again. And anything that you do with pencil or with Sharpie is not going to be there when it goes in the kiln for the first time, the big oven for cooking your clay. And kids always ask me, well, Miss Sebastian, why can't we just do Sharpies and put them up? Well, you noticed how this just wiped it right off. We definitely don't want that to happen to your artwork, so that's why we're using glazes, which will become permanently attached to your artwork. So anything that's Sharpie or pencil that goes in the kill will disappear. So only thing that will remain is the paint. So before you have yours turned in to be fired that first time, maybe next time or the time after that, not today, it's not going to be fired today, you'll want to make sure you've got a good layer of paint everywhere, or else you're going to lose a lot of these lines and not know what's what when it comes out. And again, you'll need to put your name. So for me to paint your name, it has to be, the letters have to be big enough in order for me to paint. If you make them really tiny, like if you might be able to write really tiny with this Sharpie, but even I cannot paint that. That is too tiny. The other thing is their letters are too close together. Even if you make the letters nice and big, but you put them right next to each other, a lot of times that paint's gonna kind of make those letters kind of blob together. So you really need to have a little bit of a space. I prefer uppercase letters if you could. Again, it's just easier for me to do that. And again, they're nice and big. There's space in between the letters. If you want to put a last name only, you can do that. Or again, you could just do both or just your first. That's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and put 2021 here. And then we're going to really focus in on our picture, whatever that happens to be. And again, if I made a mistake, it is super easy for me to go in there and just kind of change things up. So let's see. I think I'm gonna have a big circle here. Do like that. And let's see, I'm kind of changing things up a little bit. That's okay, I can certainly do that. And look, the other thing I don't want to do is this. I don't want to go in there and shade in. If you go in there and shade in when it's time to go paint, the paint won't stick to it. That's the other thing. Pencil is so much more superior because you don't have to worry about this line. I've had kids paint these in and have white lines wherever their Sharpie was, which is why we're using the really skinny Sharpie. So hopefully we can minimize that line for you. And then, you know, maybe, hey, maybe I need to, no, I think that's pretty good. I think I like that actually. And then maybe I'm just going to go in here and add some of this to the sides. And then maybe I want to have a little bit up here. And I can always go back in and either erase some of those lines that I don't want to keep anymore, or I can use that paper towel that has the hand sanitizer on it for sure. Sometimes you even just can get your finger in there and it'll rub off too. Okay, and you know, you can add a few things in the background. Like if I wanted to add some polka dots, I could certainly do that. The thing we don't want to do is we don't want to paint in the background with a solid color when it comes time for painting. And the reason why is because they're going to be bordered this year with dark blue tiles. And so a lot of times if you have it all painted in, they kind of blend in. But if you keep the white background, that creates a good contrast and makes it show up really well. And the other thing is that when you're making your picture, you really want to make it nice and big. You do not want to have a little tiny picture in there, which is why these pictures are just heads, because you want to keep it big and simple. These tiles are pretty small, so you just want to make sure that you have something that you can easily paint in. So I do want to just point out what the colors are, because a lot of times glazes don't always look exactly like they do when they come out of the kiln. This weird kind of pinkish mauve color will be a royal purple. This one is a dark blue or medium blue. This one's the light blue, black, dark green, light green. Some of you will have maroon. I only had a little bit of maroon left, so you may not have one in there. Sometimes the white will look like it's bluish green. It just depends on what white I was able to get. This is not red here. This is actually brown. This is orange. That's the red that looks like a salmon color. And that is, of course, the yellow. So that is the way that the colors are in the egg carton. I just want to make you aware of them. So now I'm pretty satisfied with this. Hopefully you have shown your teacher. And you know, Miss Sebastian will probably check this when you come back next time as well. Before you start painting on it, if you finished on the first day with the drawing and it looks good to the teacher, then you will want to probably just free draw for the remainder of the time until we all come back, and then you can start painting on the next day. So we're gonna kind of do the next day's part of the assignment. So let's say you've gotten this okay, that's day 2, you're ready to paint. So now I have that paper towel, I've picked a brush I'm going to use, and now I have my paint. So now I get to decide what color I want. So I always start off with a little bit of a wet brush, but we don't want it super wet, so I'm just gonna dry it off. Give the paint a good stir. This is so important. I cannot emphasize the importance of this anymore, but you really wanna give it a stir, because as the paints settle overnight, they get a layer of water at the top, and you've already got water on your brush. And so what happens is you dunk it in, the water just sticks to the brush, and when you go to paint, it'll be really watery, and we don't want it to be super watery. So here you can see as I'm painting, you're not gonna paint it like a normal picture where you just kind of make it real thin and spread it out, because you wanna have a good layer. So I'm just gonna kind of dab paint and move it a little bit so I get a nice thick layer on here. And what we're going to do is, where it's tiny little areas, I'm gonna just tap the brush and move some of that paint, loading often. So I'm going back in there and loading often. And of course, if your paints don't look good for whatever reason, somebody may have mixed them up in another class, you've run out of a color, bring it to the teacher's attention so that we can get that fixed for you right away. So I'm going through here and I'm just painting this in. And I have a little technique for you that you may find interesting. So the technique is this. If I've made a mistake, like I'm gonna rinse my brush, so I'm gonna do a different color here. Here we go. So let's say I'm painting my, rub that around really good. So let's say I'm painting my numbers, and ooh, that didn't work out the way I planned it to. It doesn't look very much like a 2 right now. And oh, I don't like that. So, hey, you know what? I'm gonna show you 2 things you can do, especially with your numbers, or if you make a mistake, and that works for your avatar as well too. So I'm gonna do a block here, okay? I've just painted this in as a big rectangle. This works best, by the way, with darker colors. So here we go. And I've got that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let this dry. So you can't really do this very well at the end of a class, paint it in and expect to finish it, because it's not going to set up or dry up enough for us to do that. So through the magic of video, in just a second, it's going to be dry. All right, so now as time has gone by, you can see that it has lightened up. It's not as dark as it was, and that's something to be expected as you use your glazes. And I just want to remind you that sometimes the colors are also quite different. They deepen and darken as they go into the firing process. So don't worry, if you're using the black, it will be black when it comes out. Unless you just painted a thin layer, and if it's a thin layer, then it'll be kind of grayish. So that's why we're gonna touch up and repaint, even though I will fire it multiple times so that you'll be able to go back to reevaluate and improve it as needed. The only thing to keep in mind is that when it is in the kiln and it's been fired, anything that was on there is now permanent. We can't get that off. So you really wanna make sure that before you turn it in, that you love all the paint that you have put on your tile, because otherwise you're not going to be able to scrape it off. It'll be completely hard. But now I have this little rectangle here. I can use the stick end of my brush, and I can go in there and I can scrape out the year. So that is one way of doing fine detail work. And if you had made a mistake, like, ooh, my 2021 doesn't look so good. Hey, just go in there and you can totally clean that up and make that 2020 look great. But remember, this only works before it's been fired, because once it's been fired, there's not much we can do. We can maybe paint over it. That sometimes helps, but it's not always great, because a lot of times it mixes with whatever color is on there. All right, so that's really the basics for this. You always want to make sure that when you're switching colors, rinse that brush, because the red glaze doesn't want the yellow cootie paint mixed up in it. Yellow wants to stay with the yellow and the red wants to stay with the red. What if you need a weird color that is not available? Go see the art teacher in the room, me, or whoever's in there, and if I have a sub, for example, and they will give you a blank tile that you could mix on. We never want to mix in the egg carton though, because if you put some red in that white, now nobody could make light blue using the white, because you've now tainted it with pink. So the best you can get is lavender, I guess. But you're gonna keep working on the tile until your teacher and you decide it looks great, or we have just run out of time. But we will be working on these for several more art times before it goes up on the wall of our school. So I hope you enjoy making your legacy tile.